Okay, what do we have here? Well, this is going to be really strong. You got King's Court and Wharf, but it's also going to be awkward to set up because you got like really nothing of value cheaper than that. And so it's going to be tricky, I think, to get to the like King's Courting Wharfs. There's no trashing. There's no other action except King's Court. Apothecary looks like it's going to be really significant in the interim. I think on 4-3 I might consider Potion Citygate. Sounds really good. I don't have 4-3. On 3-4 I don't think I like... Actually, maybe I do Citygate anyway on the 3-4. That has a decent chance of getting me to a Wharf early, which might just be worth it. Citygate Potion doesn't sound super appealing because you trigger a shuffle and then you're not getting the Alchemist very early on. But the chance that it gets me Wharf does make it sound like it might be worth it. It also gets me out of buying silver, which is not something I'm super jazzed about doing. Alright, I think I'm convinced. I'm going to go for Citygate. I probably still do want Apothecary. I mean, there's no trashing of coppers here. So I think I'll take a Potion on 4. But I think the basic goal of this kingdom is going to be play King's Courts and Wharves. The end. There's like at least half of this kingdom that just seems entirely irrelevant. Philosopher's Stone is terrible as always. Venture is terrible. Duchess is terrible. Pirate Ship. I guess I could see Pirate Ship actually maybe coming up. I mean, your opponent's going to have a ton of treasures in the deck, and it's a King's Courtable payload. So maybe very late in the game you pick up a Pirate Ship if you've got enough King's Courts to justify it. I mean, it's not like there's other payload. I mean, you're not really hitting anything of value from them. You were actually thinning their coppers, which might be helpful, if anything. But, I mean, the payload options are kind of meager here otherwise. Maybe you just masterpiece once for a ton of silvers. I don't know. I can totally see buying a few pirate ships and King's Courting them to power them up. My guess is what really matters is just getting the King's Court Wharf stuff lined up first, and then if you can do that, you're probably on a good track to winning either way. So we both went for Citygate, and we both had the nice draw. So down there I've got 4 coppers and a Wharf. I'm going to buy a second Wharf on turn 4. I have no way to hit 4 here. I think a silver is better than nothing. I mean, I could buy Duchess and put back the copper and get like arena points off it or something, but that doesn't seem very inspiring. My Wharf is bottom decked, but that's not a problem because I've got Citygate coming in. It would be a problem if I drew 2 estates off of this Wharf. That would make me really sad. Actually, not 2 estates. I just have to draw 1 estate. I have to put back something, and the Wharf's going to draw whatever the something I put back is in one other card. And I'll be pretty sad if I draw an estate, because I really want to buy a second Wharf. This risk, I guess, you know, the chance that I draw an estate is the risk that I take by buying silver. Like, I could have put back a copper and had 5 coppers in this hand, which would guarantee I hit 5. But that comes at the cost of not being able to hit 3, in which case I'm buying nothing, but maybe that was worth it. Looks like he's doing that. Well, screw me. I suppose that silver was not worth it after all. Yeah, he hit 5, I did not. Fair enough. I've got a silver at least, so I got something to show for it. I think I'm going to buy King's Court. We're behind. We're going to go for a little bit of a gamble. It's not even that much of a gamble because with Citygate, it's actually going to be not hard to line up with that Wharf. He's probably going to hit 7 himself, isn't he? Oh no, only 5. Yeah, I guess the difference that the Duchess makes is you can't play it and also play your Wharf. If that Death were silver, he would have 7. But he has 2 Wharfs to my 1, which is a big difference. So the hope is my Wharf and my King's Court both end up on the top half of this shuffle. Citygate's going to trigger a shuffle, which is going to be good because it makes it likely for my King's Court and Wharf to line up. If I only draw one of them, I probably will end up having to put that one back and then play them on turn 7, which is a lot worse than playing one turn 6. So hopefully they're both in the top 6 cards. Well, they're definitely not both in the top 6 cards. Okay, so we're going to keep that on top. I'll draw the King's Court, then I'll put the King's Court back. None of that's going to matter too much. Obviously, if I had gotten to do the King's Court Wharf thing turn 6 compared to turn 7, that would just be like almost a full turn of difference, I would think. And just in terms of like how much draw you're getting out of that, getting to do that one turn sooner would be a big deal. Discard. Do I want a 3rd Wharf? Or do I want an Apothecary and like a Duchess or something? I think Apothecary Duchess sounds better to me at the moment. Actually, I had 5. Why don't I just take silver? I'm not sure. I mean, the Duchess is King's Courtable, but I don't have a King's Court right now. My King's Court's stuck out to play with the Wharf. Perhaps I should have just taken silver there. Bam, bam, bam. Well, this draw is terrible. I'm so sad. Where's my other Wharf? Somewhere in the bottom 4. Oh. Not only that, but if I had 2 Apothecaries, I would just play one Apothecary, reveal cards, put the Wharf on top, draw with the 2nd Apothecary. The only way I can fail to play Wharf is if both the Wharf and the Apothecary are in the bottom 4 cards. And the Duchess is down there too, hiding out. 3 of my 4 actions are in the bottom 4. And I know I can't draw with this Apothecary because it's just going to draw whatever I top deck. I'm not happy about this draw. So I think I should top deck Apothecary. I mean, I could discard it for Arena, but I don't think 2 victory points is as significant as the value of Apothecary and lining up my good cards. Like, if I can reveal a King's Court in my top 4, then I will be in a much better position than if I'm not able to do that. He got a Venture, which is truly bizarre to me. I really can't conceive of what that Venture is doing for you. King's Court. Well, actually it doesn't work out quite as well as I thought it did, does it? I was thinking I would draw the King's Court and be able to play it, but with King's Court and all the other good cards on top, I'll just be drawing a bunch of good actions dead. So I could draw one King's Court, and then King's Court the Duchess, and then buy another King's Court. I could draw a King's Court, KC the Wharf, and be sad that I just drew a bunch of nice cards off the top, but at least I'll be drawing a ton of cards next turn. I could just leave all of it on top. But then what am I buying? Silver? I have another Apothecary down there, right? I think at the moment what I'm liking is draw a King's Court the Duchess, and just buy a 3rd King's Court, or however many, 4th. I don't know how many I have right now. And I can at least discard this estate, which is nice. on top. Oops. King's Court. Alright, so this is a good hand. I'm thinking Pirate Ship is probably not going to matter. If I am desperate enough for action-based payload that I can King's Court, which I very well might be, depending on how many King's Courts I end up with, I think maybe Duchess is just going to be more efficient. Like, Pirate Ship will eventually become much more valuable than Duchess if I power it up a bunch, but that is both longer term, which I'm not sure there's going to be a longer term to this game, and also it's trashing coppers, which is probably good for him. Like, he hasn't even gone into Apothecary. So trashing his coppers is probably a boon. And so I think if I just end up needing, like if I have excess King's Court plays and I need payload to spin it on, I think I could just pick up a bunch of Duchesses very cheaply and King's Court those. This venture is literally just a copper. Like, he spent $5 on a thing that is a glorified copper. It got him 1 coin and discarded a King's Court, which is already discarded. Okay, this is my second Apothecary play. So how do I want to do this? I'm going to draw 1 more card off of this Apothecary. I could like draw 1 King's Court Apothecary, then play Wharf, King's Court, Duchess. I could draw 1 King's Court, play Wharf, King's Court, Apothecary, Duchess. That sounds basically strictly better than the first line I considered. It could also just be drawing a King's Court, King's Courting a Wharf, and then King's Courting a Duchess. That might be better. I mean, the downside is it leaves a King's Court stuck out of play with the Wharf, but having a King's Courted Wharf to start the turn is probably good. So I think I'm going to do it that way, right? Okay, so I want a 4th King's Court. I feel like I do want some Duchesses now for payload. I could do quadruple Duchess. I mean, I could probably play all that, to be honest. I could do like triple Duchess Apothecary. I'm only going to have 1 Wharf in my deck next turn. Actually, wait. No, these are both my... I only have 2 Wharfs. I didn't have a Wharf to start my turn. So actually, I'm reconsidering. I think I gotta buy at least 1 Wharf, or the turn after this one is going to be shot. And if I buy 1 Wharf, I can only afford 1 Duchess, which might not be enough. Maybe I undo the King's Court and I just live with 3 King's Courts for now. That would bring me back to 15 money. I could buy a Wharf. So what if I bought like Wharf, Apothecary, quadruple Duchess? I don't have enough buys for that, do I? I could do Wharf, Wharf, Duchess, Duchess. Then I'll have 2 King's Courts in my deck that aren't stuck with the Wharf. And if I play like Apothecary, Duchess, Duchess with those, I wouldn't have enough actions to support playing 2 wharfs and 3 duchesses would I? So if I king's court apothecary and king's court 2 duchesses, then I would have 3 actions. Then I could play 2 more wharfs and 1 more duchess. I feel pretty confident I've got to buy a wharf. That seems really non-negotiable. I could just do wharf, wharf, duchess, apothecary. Maybe I'm doing that. I'm pretty sure I can play that much. I could take a copper. Probably good. If I bottomed at king's court, I'll be in a bit of trouble. But this duchess is going to help me out. I don't want to discard wharf. I could probably draw back to it, but I don't want to take the chance. The Finchers. Look at this card. It's not doing anything. Why did he buy that? I don't get it. Aside from getting the coppers and stuff, the other nice thing that Apothecary does is just having like a dummy cantrip in your deck. It helps with making the King's Court stuff line up effectively. Like playing with just King's Courts and terminal action cards, I mean it works. Like he's building an engine here, but it's like it's like more awkward because you've got to make sure you have multiple King's Courts in your starting hand to kick off. And I mean Wharf helps with that a lot. But the Apothecary, I think, I'm not sure it's necessary, but it definitely makes it smoother. Not sure what he buys here. I mean, the initial inclination would be something like King's Court, Duchy, or Duchess Wharf. He has 2 wharfs in play, 1 coming out of play, so now seems like a reasonable time to add a 4th wharf. And, I mean, he's low on payload, so Duchess makes sense. Okay, so he's going heavy on payload. He's just going to live with the 1 extra wharf. That might be reasonable. He was like easily drawing his deck there. Obviously, you want to resolve the wharfs before the city gate. Otherwise, you just put something back for the wharf to immediately draw it again. Okay, so how many cards are in my discard? A copper and a duchess. So I got copper duchess down there. I've got 3 estates here and silver. In these bottom 3, I've got 2 apothecaries and a duchess. Right, so those cards are 2 apothecaries and a duchess. I'm trying to figure out how many King's Courts to use on wharves. I really want to King's Court the duchesses if I can, I think, for more payload, and just spin 1 King's Court on a wharf. Which makes this draw somewhat awkward, doesn't it? Because, yeah, I don't think that's possible. I'm going to have to use 1 King's Court on an apothecary. I think I'm not actually King's Courting any wharfs, is probably what's going to happen. No, well, Option number 2 would be, if I'm not doing King's Court, Duchess, Duchess, Wharf, it would be like King's Court, Apothecary, Duchess, Duchess. And then just don't get any King's Courts caught out of play with the wharfs. And then I play the wharfs at the end and just have 4 cards to draw for next turn. The problem with that is I don't have those cards in my hand and I can't draw to them. If I do King's Court, Apothecary. Yeah, the chance I find my both duchesses seems pretty low. Right? Actually, probably 0. So I draw a silver. I reveal 2 of these cards. I draw an estate. I reveal 2 of those cards. And the last Duchess is in the discard. So there's no way. I don't think there's any way for me to King's Court 2 Duchesses this turn. At all. So I'm going to have to do, I think, is King's Court, Apothecary. And I don't like that. I'll draw all these. And I get to King's Court 1 Duchess at least. Piles are also a bit of a problem here, aren't they? How much can he do next turn? He has plenty of buys. He has more than enough buys. Yeah. So I don't think discarding the Duchess at the beginning of the turn was unreasonable. It was to maximize the chance I find both King's Courts. And if that didn't happen, I'm in an even worse spot. But the Duchess being a bottom does put me in an annoying situation. We'll see if we can top deck this Apothecary. I think that should be doable. No, it's not, is it? I'm going to draw everything with my... I was planning on like playing this Apothecary, revealing the Apothecary, drawing the estates, and then leaving the other Apothecary on top. But I don't think that's worth not playing one of the Wharves. So my problem now is he's going to have up to 10 buys next turn. And how much money? He's got 5 King's Courts, 4 of which are not stuck in play. So he's got 4 King's Courts, and he's got 4 Duchesses. So he's got, if he manages to King's Court all the Duchesses, which seems reasonably likely, that's 6 money per Duchess, so 24 money from the Duchesses, plus 7 coppers and a venture. And the venture, which is just a copper. So he's got 32 money that he's looking at. So I have to make sure I don't leave a pile out that costs 32 money. So now I'm not sure if I want to Casey the Wharf or the Apothecary. The King's Court the Wharf, next turn I've obviously got more draw and more buys coming in, which is good. The downside is I have 1 more King's Court stuck out of play, which might be bad. I think it's going to be worth it anyway, right? Just for the reliability. Maybe it depends on what I'm buying. I'm considering taking some number of duchies for points. So how much do these remaining piles cost? King's Courts cost 14, Wharfs cost 15, that's 29. On the face of it, he can't pile these if I don't touch them at all. But not touching them at all is kind of a pain for my deck because I need to build. So I'm thinking about, I'm going to have 18 money, right? After playing that last Duchess. 18 is not a big number. And I really need to up that number, which means adding more Duchesses and maybe another King's Court. But if I do that, I'm lowering piles. And so I'm considering maybe if I took like Duchy and got Duchess that way. Could I just buy Masterpiece here? So if I take a big Masterpiece, I would have so much money next turn. But the reasonable risk of not drawing any of it. I think the answer is I'm King's Court in the Wharf. Duchess. Wharf, okay. End actions. He got a lot of mileage out of these Duchess discards. He discarded 1, 2, 3, 4 cards. So he's definitely not dudding. So now my problem is I'm way lower on payload than he is. He's got more duchesses and more king's courts to play them with. So I really need to add payload. We said he can do 32 next turn. So what if I did like king's court double duchy? That's probably losing, right? That would leave 7 in the king's court pile from plus 15 from Wharf. It's 22. Plus 2 more duchesses is 24. And then that would only give me a 2-point lead, so he could just buy a province. Yeah, that's losing. How do I add more payload to my deck? I really need another king's court. I'm only have 2 king's courts not in play this turn. But buying that king's court is just so darn dangerous. I'm honestly probably buying some coppers here, aren't I? Because, I mean, coppers are payload. I've got some apothecaries, and that's the thing that I'm really lacking here. So what if I did something like 3 duchies with duchesses, an apothecary, and like 5 coppers? Then I would have there'd be 24 money worth of actions left in the piles. I would have 6. No, that just loses to emptying Duchess, Wharf, King's Court, and buying a province still. That doesn't work. Yeah, I'm just kind of dead here. I have to get another King's Court, and I just can't. And I don't see a way to lower the King's Court pile and not just immediately lose. That's 22, 30. Cost him 30 to empty that. He's got 32. If I do, I don't know, like King's Court province or something, I have to click King's Court. That just seems, I can't live with just 3 King's Courts in my deck. But now he is able to pile those, so I have to score here. He can't pile those by buying duchies. He's too short of money to do that. So if he wanted to pile those out, there's also the estate pile out. I don't think he has enough buys for that. Yeah, he doesn't have buys for the estate pile out. So I just need to score more than 11, I think. So that might just mean province. Take fairgrounds, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I would need a 10th type of card for fairgrounds to even put me in tying position. I could do like fairgrounds werewolf and a bunch of coppers. Doesn't make much sense. I could do fairgrounds. I think this is safe, right? Because now he could pile those and take 1 duchy, and if he wants to tie, I think I'm fine with that. That might have been dumb. I don't know. I hope I counted that right. So 15, 22, 28. It cost him 28 to pile these normal. Oh, hello, King's Court. I kind of wish the King's Court like a few from the top, so I could like discard a few cards and also still draw the King's Court. But I can't complain about having 2 King's Courts at the top of my deck. I'm pretty sure he's gonna have 32 money, which is enough to do King's Court, Wharf, 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 Duchy, Duchess, Duchess, which is only exactly enough to take a tie, which if he wants, I'm okay with. 32, like we thought. So like Wharfs and duchies cost, or Wharf and a single duchy costs 20, King's Court 27. You have to buy 2 more duchesses is 31. So I'll put him at 14 points. And with 1 coin left, it is 1 too short to buy an estate. The way the match score works out, I think a tie helps me because if we go 3-3, we're tied, but he has half a point more than me from the regular season, and so he would win. So I have to win 3.5. So if we tie no games, that means I have to win 4. If we tie 1 game, it means I have to win 3 more. And so I think the first tie I get in a match is worth as much to me as a win. I mean, I can't tie again, but like ties aren't super common. And so I think in this case, offering him a tie just makes a lot of sense the way the points break down, because a tie is almost exactly as valuable for me as a win. The benefit of a win over a tie is that it means I would retain the ability to tie a future game. Whereas if I tie this game, then I can't do that again. But given the rarity of ties in Dominion, I think that makes the tie pretty close to a win. We'll see if he takes it. My guess is he will take the tie. He only has 1 Wharf King's Courted for next turn. And so like this is supposed to be his big turn. He had the 2 Wharfs down, they're both King's Courted. His next turn's gonna be a little bit weaker. It's hard for him to build. He might just take a bunch of points. I haven't counted it out. It's certainly possible he'll find a line that lets him score and then puts me in a bad position. But I think his next turn is likely not to be better than this turn. In which case, he might just accept the tie that I've offered. Like, he could quadruple province. I haven't actually even counted it. I might not be able to beat that. Just something like quad province could be devastating for me. Let's see, how much money do I have in my deck? I've got 3 duchesses, whereas he has 4, but I have a hell of coppers. I think in theory, if he does 4 provinces, I should have enough to 4 province back. But like, my deck is full of coppers, and I have fewer King's Courts. There's I think a reasonable chance that I don't manage to line up all my King's Courts with duchesses. So he might just take that risk. Let's see. So I had 8 coppers, I added 6. I got 14 money in coppers. I got 3 duchesses, which if I King's Court them all is 6 money each. So that's 18 plus 14 is 32. Yeah, so I've also got a silver. I would need 36 money total to be able to afford... Okay, so he's just taking the tie. Yep, fair enough. I'm not sure if that's best. Like I was just in the middle of contemplating whether if he did quad province, whether I could likely quad back. My deck certainly theoretically can, but like the chance I draw that is not super high because I have to use 3 King's Court plays on duchesses to hit 32 money. But I'm certainly happy with the tie. I will not complain about this outcome.